Hello and welcome to this episode of the Glasgow Business Podcast. And today we're joined by Evie Foster. Evie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Thanks for asking. So Evie, tell us a bit about your business.
So my business is Keller Williams. It's part of the largest estate agency, real estate agents in the world. And we brought it to the UK about 10 years ago and have developed out Scotland. So I'm responsible for Keller Williams Scotland and all the agents and teams within that. So we're not estate agents, we are the platform that estate agents can set up their own business. So we provide the technology, the training, the coaching, the systems, the models, the processes to allow agents to then start their own business or to start a team within our business.
Oh, brilliant. Fantastic. And tell me, what was it that got you started on that journey?
I think what got me started with Keller Williams was actually working for an estate agent myself. I've been in and out of estate agency for many years. Took some time off, if you like, to raise the family, and then came back into estate agency, was working for an online agent and just absolutely working too many hours per week, driving everywhere and not really liking the process that I was involved with. So I set up as an agent with Keller Williams, set up my own business, and preferred to then have the way that I wanted to do real estate was different to the way that I was kind of getting told to do it by the previous company. Very much more kind of relationship based than transactional. So I then set up my business as an agent and then got asked to take over the market centre. We call them market centres, so it's like the business hub for all the agents where everything happens, in January 2020. And obviously we know what happened that year, so that was quite a challenge. But we got through it, we survived it, and came through it. So, and then just this year we have become sort of separate as Keller Williams Scotland, because I'm a great believer that we are different up here. We have a different market. We have a different market to down south. So my kind of aim and my purpose is I want to make sure that clients have the best experience possible, and we can only do that if we're in charge of our own days and our own destiny. So that's kind of the very potted version of how I got here.
No, brilliant. And it was the desire to just be in control of your own destiny that's driven you to that point. It's really cool. Tell me, Evie, what is it that you love about the business?
I mean, fundamentally, my role now is helping agents to help clients. But what I love about our business is that our agents really do help the clients. As I mentioned earlier, it's very much relationship based rather than just you're a listing, you're selling a house, you're a listing, we put it on the portals, we sell it, move on. It's building that kind of, as we would say, fiduciary relationship as an agent. So it's a really stressful time for people. It's very emotional time. And if you've got somebody that is absolutely in your corner and is going to do everything they can for you, then it takes away some of that. It's maybe take away the emotion, but it takes away the pressure and the stress. So my purpose is just to help as many agents, then help as many clients. That's literally why I do what I do and get great joy from it.
Brilliant. Now, Evie, you mentioned obviously when you took over the role in 2020 that things changed. So what do you think has been the hardest challenge that you've been through with the business?
I mean, there's a few challenges. I mean, I think, obviously self-employed estate agency or working under a kind of, franchise is relatively new still to the UK. Obviously in other countries it's massive, so the challenge is kind of, there's a lot of good agents out there and a lot of good people who would make great agents who aren't agents at the moment. So it's really just getting that message out that, you don't have to stick to kind of traditional models because that's all it's getting the message to people that there is a different way of doing things. And again, it comes back to then being able to set your own goals, set your own diaries, set your own expectations, set your own standards. So the biggest challenge is kind of getting people to realise that just because something's been done one way for many, many years doesn't mean it's the best way. So have a look at something else, and then if you think that fits in with your own kind of values, then, you know, why not try it?
Yeah, very brilliant. And I think, you know, for a lot of business owners, there's, as you say, when you go down that sort of self-employed route or go into business for yourself, there comes a moment where it's, you know, it's not, the expectations aren't quite meeting up with the reality. And you get a kind of a moment of, you know, well, this is it supposed to be this hard? Can you relate to that yourself?
I heard a really great phrase the other day, which was frustration and resentment comes out of mismanaged expectations. And I thought, you know, gosh, so many business owners, I think, can relate to that. You know, I think being your own business owner, being self-employed is not an easy option. But when you get through that first kind of initial shock sometimes of this is harder than I thought, then, you know, the rewards are there if you put in the actions, if you take the right steps. So, I mean, I've been through many, many changes within Keller Williams and many changes in agents coming and going. But for me, it's about, you know, making sure you've got your goal. What do you want to achieve? Making sure that you're taking the actions to achieve that goal and not getting distracted by everything else round about you. And really, really having that focus. You know, again, a great phrase I love is what you focus on expands. So we need to focus on the right activities and the right things and sort of forget the noise round about us, you know, and just really stay focused on why you're doing what you're doing and who you're doing it for.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think that's a sort of a paraphrase on Tony Robbins there, isn't it? Where he says, where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Absolutely.
And it's such a good way to look at these challenges, Evie. But you know what, running a business, it's not just all about learning from the tough times, because I'm pretty sure you'll have a highlight reel as well with the business. So what would you say has been one of the biggest successes that you've had?
I think the biggest successes is then, you know, I started with Glasgow. In terms of my business is obviously Keller Williams Scotland. I started with Glasgow and then now have, you know, all of Scotland, so we can really develop out, you know, the way that we want to see it throughout Scotland. But the biggest success within the business is seeing, you know, people who weren't estate agents 2-3 years ago have an absolute thriving business, you know, to the point where they have too many, you know, they've got so many listings, you know, they're so busy, you know, and they've coming in from other industries, building a really good business based on them and their values and what value they bring to clients, and now are absolutely flying, and them then building teams and needing more people to come onto their team. So for me, that's the biggest highlights of the past few years for sure.
Yeah, really, really great. Some great stories in there, I'm sure. And what do you think? What do you think's allowed you to do that, Evie? Has it been a mindset? Has it been, you know, a strategy that you've applied?
Going back to what I said, I think it's remembering why you're doing, you know, who you're doing it for and why you're doing it. And, you know, I said a few years ago, I wanted to change the way that the estate agency industry was viewed. And the only way you can do that is by making change, but making change through people. So I've never lost my focus or my passion in what I wanted to do, and then have brought in, at times, sometimes the wrong people because they didn't share the same values or the same vision. But now we've got a really good group of agents who do have the same values and the same vision, and they, you know, it's like coaching them to be as focused on their own business as I've been on developing, you know, Keller Williams. It's not easy, but then if it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So it's you know, I've always had a very much, you know, and again, I think it was Henry Ford, you know, if you say you can or you can't, you're absolutely right. So I've always chosen the can, you know, and it's kind of a question that used to drive my mother mad was, you know, why can I not? You know, not I can't, but why can I not? You know,
Yeah.
So, you know, and for me, I mean, I'm very focused on my family. You know, it's not just business, and I think that's another thing that I like to kind of coach my agents about, why are we doing it? Most of us are doing it for our families, to give us a better quality time with our families. So we have to take that into account. And I think doing what I've done, I've managed to, really kind of have time with the family as well as developing, the business, because that is ultimately the main priority.
Yeah, such a good point. And that's something you see a lot of times with business owners, is that potentially they forget that the business is there to facilitate the lifestyle that they want to live. That's kind of why they got into it in the first place. So I suppose for you then, Evie, when you look further down the road then, where do you need to be in the next 5 years? What does the business look like? And what would it mean to you?
So our goals are, obviously my goals are kind of bringing in more agents within the business and then developing them. So, the goal by the end of this year is to get to 100 agents throughout Scotland. By the end of 25 is to get to 250, which, and by 5 years, is up to 400. Now people might, say, oh, gosh, that's quite a big goal. Yeah, it is a big goal. But it's a goal that, again, going back to what we said, if you focus on the right activities, we'll get there. And I never really have a wavering belief that we will get there, because I think that if I waver in my belief, in my vision, how can I then coach others in their belief, in their vision? So I've never really wavered from that. Yeah, there's been trials and tribulations along the way, but we're still here and we're now beginning to thrive, but we're thriving through people. What I love now is that people, for a long time, and when you're bringing something new to the market, people just go, what's that all about? Oh no, I'll just wait and see. I'll just wait and see how that pans out. I don't know if that's going to survive. That's going to, be a success. And now people are coming to us and saying, can we talk? How can you help us? We've seen success. So I think it's the same in any business, right? People will jump on it right away. Others will sit back and watch, and then eventually, kind of come to you. So that's kind of the stage that we're at, which is really exciting going forward.
Phenomenal, yeah, and it's such a good path, and I love the focus that you've got and where you're driving Keller Williams to. Let me just ask you, you've got a strong plan, you've got a real focus on it. But if I was to say to you just now, Evie, there's I don't know, let's pick a number, 5 million, and ask you to build, a company, an organization that's going to dominate the industry, where would you start?
Oh wow, gosh, 5 million would be a lot further forward than we are now, I think. No, I think I wouldn't actually change very much of what I'm doing, if truth be told. I think this business is very much a people business, so I would still be looking for the same people that I'm looking for. What I would probably do with that is take out the message that I want to take to, your kind of existing estate agents, for example, that are maybe struggling. Times are really tough. Times are tough for independent estate agents. Times are tough for loads of people in different industries, and really kind of, take it out to them and say, look, have you thought of this? Can we look at talking about that? And whether that might be using that money as a kind of stepping stone to get them into, their own business. Or there's many agents out there that are really great agents and building other people's businesses, right? They're bringing in the clients, they're bringing in the transactions, they're doing all the work, but they're building somebody else's brand. So again, for me, within Keller Williams, it's not about building the Keller Williams brand. We are the platform. It's about bringing people in to build their brand, but do it for themselves and their family, build their own business. So I guess it would be to help people make that kind of transition. That would be kind of what, it's one of my goals as well, is to help to get to the point where I can actually help people make the transition, because I had to do it myself. I had to do it myself when I left my previous employment to start on my own, and that was probably the toughest 6 months of any of my career. I was a single mum, 4 kids to feed, rent to pay, blah, blah, blah. And I go, yeah, I'm starting my own business to spend more time with my family. Oops, that's right. I'm not going to earn for the first 6 months, you know. So one of my goals is to help people bridge that gap. So that's what I would do. You know, if I had a pot of money right now, that's what I would say. I would say take the leap, not rely on it. Do you know what I mean? Not get a salary, but just take away that pressure so you can then focus on the activities that you want to do to build your business rather than worrying about the financial side of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%, because when you've got these distractions that are around about the business, things like cash flow and the pressure of looking down the road and seeing, you know, where that next income is coming from, it can lead to overwhelm, and sometimes that overwhelm can manifest itself in anxiety for people as well, and it can really disrupt the rhythm of the business.
Yeah.
But I think what you're speaking about just now, Evie, is you've got a clear focus on what you're trying to do. It sounds like, you know, you're a great leader within the organisation there. And what I really like is with a model like Keller Williams is you're giving people the framework in which that they can go and achieve the best that they can, and giving them the rules of the game to help them get there as well. And I think that's where people really thrive, when they've got that kind of that setup and that kind of organisation that they can relate to. To me, that comes down to routines. And I don't know, do you have any routines that you build into your day, your week, that just helps to keep you pushing the business forward?
Yeah, I mean, you know, my diary is very much like an agent's diary. You know, it's set up with, you know, my kind of big rocks, if you like. My 20% activities is talking to people about Keller Williams, like my agents talk to clients about selling their house. So, you know, my diary, I split my diary, and I coach it all the time about time management. I split it in the morning, it's the kind of lead generation activities, if you like. And then in the afternoon, it's the service activities. So whether you're in my position, my team leader's position, my agent's position, you know, your diary should be sort of lead gen and service. And I think what happens is, you know, we've got so many distractions round about us that we forget that is literally the two fundamental things that we have to do. So it's a kind of, when I hear people saying, you know, I'm working, you know, 14 hours a day and I'm working 7 days a week and, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and sit down and let's create your time management plan. I think what we do really well, there's a lot of people who have an entrepreneurial spirit, right? And they do things that just come naturally to them. What we do is sit them down and make them purposeful. We talk about it within Keller Williams, you know, going from entrepreneurial to purposeful, or as we like to say, easy to painful, is quite a big step. So what do you need to do that? You need models, you need systems, you need processes, you need, you know, leverage. Leverage is not just people. So we provide the processes, the systems, the models, and on occasion the people if other roles are needed. And that's really, to me, that's the success of any business, is just focusing on getting to that point where you are going, I can't do any more myself, I don't know how I'm going to cope with this, and then just breaking it down. And it doesn't necessarily mean an outlay of, I need to get somebody else. As I go back to the systems and models and the processes in any business are key.
Yeah, definitely. And I think being able to, you know, sort of organize that into small achievable tasks throughout the day really helps to just build the momentum in the business. You know, yes. One of the books that we reference quite a lot is Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog, in terms of being able to just get on with the, you know, take the biggest, ugliest thing you've got to do today and do it first. And that works for a lot of people. Some people have a, you know, they've maybe got a different view where maybe they need a bit of momentum in today, but I like the way that you structure your day. You mentioned in there, Evie, your 20% actions. Tell me a bit more about that.
So my 20% actions is reaching out to have conversations with people, you know, letting people know what Keller Williams is and who Keller Williams is. You know, there's a kind of misconception that Keller Williams, we are estate agents. We're not. We're the platform for estate agents. So if you know, most estate agents might have, you know, like a CRM system, for example. So we have that. We have the everything that somebody needs to run their business. without then the expense of all these things that they need to run their business. So, but more importantly, we have the training to help people do that. So my 20% is reach out to people, training. I'm very heavily involved in the training side of it, because that's, again, an action that's once somebody's joined us, that's really a big focus. Yeah, that's literally my 20%. So I set myself, you know, a number of conversations that I have to have each week, a number of times I reach out in social media to people, and then obviously then conversations one-to-one with people. So yeah, that's what I focus on.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. Evie, you mentioned that obviously you know, your role there as Keller Williams, it's not a state agency, it's about the platform and the technology. And I think we're in an age where technology is progressing at a ridiculous rate, and it's only going to get faster. And tools like AI are coming into everyday life now. But how do you see things like that? I don't know, impacting the industry that you're in?
I think AI and ChatGPT and all the rest of these things will play a part within, you know, the maybe taking some tasks away from the agent in terms of producing things and, you know, schedules and all the rest of it. What any AI cannot do is sit with somebody and just listen to them about what their needs are and how we're going to get them through a difficult period. So I don't believe, you know, I believe this industry is still very much a people-based industry, and actually it's gone back to that. You know, there's been certain, you know, online companies that have come in and have tried to kind of almost take out the relationship side of things and everything's online. It has not succeeded. If they had succeeded, we wouldn't be here. You know, everybody would just be selling their house or buying their house online. Now, yeah, there are online portals we need, but ultimately you need a person. You need a person to help you through it. So, you know, AI and technology will not take away from that. And my belief is that will never change. Certain tasks will be made easier, but ultimately these tasks have to be managed by a person.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I think it's that in what you do, it's such a massive decision in anybody's life when it comes to these things. So having that person, as you touched on earlier, to guide you through it and support you is really important. I suppose just kind of getting towards the end of the conversation, then, Evie, where obviously, you know, you spoke about your start of the journey and then that unforeseen challenge in 2020. We're now here in 2024. We're in an election year, and that's potentially going to bring some challenges to the economy following that. What challenges do you see coming in the next sort of 6-12 months, and how are you preparing for them?
Well, we've done quite a lot of kind of research on has the announcement of the general election changed, you know, the housing market? Are people, you know, holding back? Are they, you know, thinking, oh, I'm going to wait for the outcome? Now, generally speaking, it has had no effect on people, you know, deciding not to sell or not to buy, or it's been a really, I mean, I've been through, you know, a few kind of general elections, and this one I don't think it's had as big an impact on the actual people selling or buying. What will happen afterwards? You know, obviously we've kind of got interest rates, you know, at a level. People still say they're high, but if you were around in you know, the 80s and the 90s, they are not high. So it's kind of, you know, and people have almost normalised the interest rates now. You know, people coming into the market have normalised it a little bit. So I think, and looking at, you know, round about me, the housing market, the you know, buying and selling is still going to be very buoyant for the rest of the year and into 2025. We thought that it would slow down. Most expectations of the end of last year are up on what they thought they would be, and I honestly don't see that changing. I mean, obviously there's going to be, you know, maybe a lot of changes in the rental market and things like that. We really just focus on sales. So, and I'm not qualified to comment on the rental market, but the sales market, I think, is still going to continue to be buoyant the way it has been.
Brilliant. No, good insight. Thanks for that, Evie. I really appreciate that. Evie, you've spoken a lot today about, you know, goals and focus, managing your time. And I suppose just to kind of start wrapping up now, what are the key lessons you've learned from leading Keller Williams in Scotland?
The key lessons I've learned. Personally, I've learned lessons about not everybody thinks the same way that I do. I think we are we're actually, apart from the football, we're a nation of people that don't see that there's going to be a positive outcome. I mean, go Tartan Army, but you know, and thank goodness for your optimism. But I think, you know, as a nation, we are quite, we listen to people round about us telling us that we can't do something. Are you mad? Why are you doing it? Why are you thinking of a change? That's not the way I think. So I think it's just kind of getting that message to people again, you know, and it's not all happy, clappy, positive thinking. It comes back to teaching people what they need to do to get what they want. And I believe in my role as the leader of it is to get people to think a bit differently so that they do get what they want when they want it. So it's not about the, you know, the actual selling of a house. It's all comes down to the individual agent's mindset. And that's probably the biggest, you know, I can teach somebody how to sell a house. That's kind of the easy bit. The hardest bit is teaching somebody and helping them believe that, you know, they can do it and that they can achieve their goals, and that if they've got the right approach and the right attitude and they take the right actions, they will. That's probably my biggest learning.
Brilliant, Evie. And, you know, I think what you've touched on there is really important. And there's another saying that's, you know, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I think if anybody was heading off to think about starting out a business on their own, they'd do well to have people like yourself supporting them in that journey. So, Evie, thanks very much for today. I've really enjoyed the conversation. And just tell me, how can people find out more about you? How can people get in touch and explore more about careers with you and Keller Williams?
They can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. It's just Ev Foster. They can get in touch, KW Scotland on Facebook, or I'm on Facebook as well, Evelyn Foster. My email, they can email me, ev.foster@kwuk.com. I'm you know, pretty much out there in terms of social media, so happy to have a conversation with anybody about the possibilities that we have within Keller Williams Scotland. It might not come to anything, but have the conversation. You know, don't not have the conversation. That's all it is. Costs nothing.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that, and thanks again for your time. It's been really great fun, and we'll speak soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen.